Hello and welcome to another ME7 podcast special episode. As you can see, the man in the picture, the guy that fired us to that Wembley winner in 2009 against Shrewsbury Town. And in fact, I think Owen would probably agree, one of my favourite ever strikers in certainly watching Gillingham. We are joined today by Simeon Jackson. Simeon, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Yeah, not bad. Owen, what a great guest to have on.
No, it's one with everyone's been looking for a while now. It's good to finally get into it, get stuck in.
Okay, right. So let's go all the way back to 2008 then. Simeon, you arrived from Rushden Diamonds.
Yeah.
Just go back to 2008. How did the move come about to Gills?
Wow. 2008. Yeah, kind of long while ago now. But yeah, I was at Rushden. And I was doing well at the time. I was on a run that season, scoring, playing well. It was, I think, my first kind of full season in men's football. Before that, I was coming in through the youth team and in and around the first team, making some appearances. But that was my first kind of full-fledged season. And yeah, just got into a routine. Was doing well, and then January came around, and there was some interest from quite a few League One teams, which I was aware of, and I was just kind of waiting to see which one it would be. Really, I think it didn't happen until deadline day, which was just nerve-wracking throughout the whole month. Just every day going into training, thinking, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And then finally on deadline day, it came off.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So obviously it was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? Was that you were coming into a change room that it was a new manager in Mark Stimpson. We were in League One. We were in a relegation battle. Things weren't kind of almost when you do move to a new club. It's mostly fresh start, new start. But you were coming in midway through the season, trying to keep the club up almost. Yeah. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was it was a mix of both, really, because I was just excited from getting a move at a big club, from playing in the conference to playing in League One, and then you're excited about your move and everything that comes with that, but then you get in and it's like, right, we're in a relegation scrap, and it's like, yeah, shit, I have to kind of adjust to that really quickly and kind of perform and produce. And I think it was quite helpful because there was players there that were, kind of that come from non-league as well that, Stimrod brought in. But there was a big divide almost that was happening. You had players that were there previous to Stimo and were kind of, I guess Stimo were trying to get rid of him and then, trying to build his own team. So there was a lot of dynamics in there for sure.
Simeon, I just wanted to ask, on the basis of, you said there was interest there before you came to Gillingham. What was it about the club? How did Stimo, as manager, said it to you?
To be honest, I didn't speak to Stimo until on the day. I knew there was the bid. I think the bid had come in earlier in the week, and I know there was a bit. Our chairman was just kind of being a nightmare with it, and he was like, just waiting for the right money, and I was like, I just wanted it to happen. And then it wasn't until on that day when I kind of sat down with him, I was like, kind of heard what he wanted to do and how he was building the team, and I was like, right, yeah, like this felt the right one. I think, but for me, it was a no-brainer because I just wanted to play at the highest level I could, and I knew about Gillingham because I came on trial to Gillingham when I was 14, and I signed for the club. I was a schoolboy, and I didn't get a scholar. I got released, so I knew everything about the club. I knew what it was about, and for me, it was actually the first thing I said to Scally when I signed. Actually, I was like, "You could have me for free, and now you had to pay 150 grand for me." So that was kind of a moment for me, and I just. Because coming from Canada and stuff and going to Priestfield for the first time, I remember going to the club shop for the first time and bought a Gillingham tie, and I bought like loads of memorabilia and stuff, and that was always kind of around me. So to get a move, to me, it was like back to them really. I was like, right now I want to prove why I belong here, kind of thing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So obviously we ended up getting relegated that season. It went down to the final day at Leeds. I'm pretty sure you scored, right? You scored it. You scored at Leeds, didn't you? Yeah. And how was that final day? Because it was almost, you mentioned the divide in the squad, and it was probably, well, we want to keep the club up here, but we also know that if we go down, it's going to be a fresh start for us all, and we're not going to be in the sort of situation that we're in.
Yeah, no, we didn't think about that I didn't think about that. I was in the, kind of trying to be in that place mentally, like, right, we're staying up, doing everything we can to stay up. And then, going into the last game, there was a chance. And then, I guess, obviously, we lost, and Leeds were flying, and results didn't go our way. And it was like, well, it was really kind of a shock, really. I remember actually just at the end of the whistle, I remember just kind of dropping to the floor and just thinking, like, just devastated. And Bradley Johnson came and picked me up straight away, and he was like, nah. He's like, don't sit with it. And that was like a big moment for me with him. And funny enough, we ended up going on and playing with each other at Norwich. But that moment of like him kind of reminded me, like, look, personally, it was still a massive step up, and I was still going to be in League Two next season, and I'm still young and all that stuff. But to relegation is always horrible, so it was hard to kind of in that moment still feel the stress of it and the sadness, but then think, right, no, I need to snap out of it straight away and build to try and get promoted next year. I think that's the biggest thing when you get relegated sometimes, is trying to flick that switch straight away and be like, right, this is the focus for next year, and starting to work towards that straight away.
It must have been a bit of a weird experience as well for someone who just coming up from non-league, because you have that disappointment feeling of being relegated, but then you look at it and you're thinking, I've gone from playing non-league to playing. I think that was the record attendance in League One for a little while, that game between Leeds and us, and that was the Leeds team that was like very well known for all the players. I think that was a team had Johnny Howson's, Bradley Johnson's, Luciano Becchio, Beckford, etc., etc. Premier League now, of course, just about. But it must be one of them where you're being relegated in that moment, but you just look around where you're playing and think, well, it's disappointing what's happened today, but I'm definitely on the right path. And obviously, no one wants to be in League Two. Obviously, it's a big reality for us now as well. But you're also thinking, well, I've gone up to League Two and I've shown I can score goals this division. So going down into League Two, like you say, is another big chance for you to carry on. Obviously, having that experience in the upper league as well put you in a great stead.
100%, and that's what it was. And I think, as I said, I mentioned that moment with Jono and like you said, those kind of players that you were playing against, and at that level, it just gave you that taste of thinking, like, no, I've done that, and I know I can get back to that. And I think we had individual meetings, kind of, end of season meetings, and mine with Simo was like, look, just focus on being top goal scorer next season and firing us back up. And yeah, it was still that summer was like I was saying, bittersweet, but there was a real focus on making sure we do well in League Two as a club that's come down, because then that's that extra pressure of, we want to prove we don't belong in this league and we want to be up.
Yeah. Obviously, you come back for pre-season. Then was that the chat that Mark Stimson had in the summer? Was that let's get out of this, let's get back out of this straight away, or was it kind of let's just see how we go? What was the chat with the gaffer in the summer?
Yeah, I think it was it was kind of, because we knew we had the players that had played at that level. We knew we were going to be kind of one of the stronger ones, the favourites, even though we went through that transition. But it was more about kind of now building a team that we knew could get us promoted. And I think we kind of gelled from the back end of the previous season and are now going into a new season. And we just kind of, I think, especially when you go through a relegation and you kind of share that with a group, everyone's hungry, and then, the additions that we did bring in, we're in that kind of direction as well. And yeah, it was, I love playing in that team, because it was kind of structured around like my strengths. So, and it was crazy how, since then I've maybe had that once or twice really since then in my whole career. It was like that team was like, with our wingers, with our target men, like everything was just set up for me to go and score goals. So
did you really feel like that year that the team, like you were almost the go-to man, that everything kind of went through you, and the team structurally was built through you to play to your strengths?
Well, I felt that way. I felt that way from when I first came in. I think it was just, Simo kind of feeding that confidence in me and just saying, look, like, you're our main man kind of thing. Like, just go out and do what you do. And then, when I look at kind of how we played and the emphasis on, honestly, Dennis Ollie and Barch, like, it was just like they were my juice. Like I just love being able to know it was going out wide and definitely a cross was coming in. And then, kind of having that strength at the back with Gary Richards, and, we had an amazing spine, with Kingy as well. Like it was a really, really good team. Like, having that in League Two was brilliant. Yeah,
there was plenty of standout moments that year, certainly for yourself. I think one that stands out kind of halfway through that season was obviously the Aston Villa game live on ITV. And I think that was for you really, you kind of put your name on the map, and I've arrived. And I still remember that turn, taking it down on the chest in the centre half and smashing it into the Rainham end. How talk us through that day? That was a special day for the football club. Even though we went and lost, it was still a special day, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just teed up, in all the right ways. It was live on telly. There was a bit of, we weren't sure kind of going into it because we, even though we were at home, that was the first game we stayed away together in a hotel, even though it was a home game, and there was just that build up and excitement around it. But looking back at it, that was brilliant because it kind of gave us that that kind of pressure game, as leading up to the playoffs in the back end of the season. So that was kind of like a great, kind of starting point for us. And I just remember thinking, just great opportunity to play against, a Premier League side. I think we played against Blackburn before that, I want to say.
In the Cup, in the League Cup, wasn't it?
So it was just having those kind of games, saying, we played against these guys before, Premier League players before. We know what that's like, and we're in the FA Cup, so let's go and give it a good show. And for me, it was just about scoring, and kind of managed to do that. And it was a good starting point. As you say, even though we lost, we did come out of that with a lot of confidence, I think, individually.
Last year we spoke to Stuart Lewis about that game, and he was having a joke about how he got forced to play right back against Ashley Young. I reckon when you were in the Premier League, you had a moment to speak to Ashley Young about that dive he made in the second half.
The craziest thing was, I think, I've come across and known Ash from since that time, and it was like, I think we had a little chat about that because that didn't really do us any favors really. But I just remember learning from that game how, and it helped me because then going on to play in the Premier League was just how nothing affected them. Like just watching them play and just seeing how they handled the occasion, they were just like nothing kind of Ashley Young didn't. I think Stuart actually had a worldie that game, and he didn't allow him to have a kick until that point in the game. So, in injury time or whenever the pen was. So, I learned a lot personally from that game, and a lot of players did, and we'll probably look back at that as a big game in their career. I think.
It's definitely incredible experience when you look at two players in particular. Gareth Barry, I think, has one of, if not the most Premier League appearances in history. James Milner could become a 7-time Champions League winner at the weekend. But from one positive game in that season to a very to be honest, one you can look at now and kind of a laugh about it. The 7-0 against Shrewsbury, because it's almost in poetry in terms of how the season actually ended up and going and playing again. What's the mindset as a player coming off the pitch after a result like that? Obviously, we all know in hindsight it ended all right in the end, but it must have been a
honestly that
horrible
that game was a blur. Like it's honestly football. Sometimes you just can't put your finger on like what went wrong. It was just a day of madness, and you look back and laugh at it now, but at the time you're like, what's going on here? And then you know, you kind of have, we did have a, funny enough too, so we had a meeting about it. And while we were watching the goals, because I think we ended up watching all the goals back. And it was literally just like, you could hear a pin drop in the place, man. Like everyone's just like quiet, thinking, "Oh shit!" Like people getting picked out. And I mean, it's a bit different now in dressing rooms, but at the time, like you're kind of waiting for someone to pipe up and be like, you know, what were you doing, or what's going on there, kind of thing. And there was no volume on the clips. And I remember Diesel, Dennis Ollie was like, there was one corner that came in, and you just see him like hands in the air, like kind of pointing, kind of thing. And I remember we came out the meeting afterwards. I was like, Diesel, what was that, man? Like, what happened there? Like, why'd you? Because we, in the dressing room, we had that kind of relationship where you spoke about things and we were like, right, like, you know, kind of how to deal with it. And he was like, look, mate, he's like, I lost my man, but he's like, I learned when I was at QPR that usually there's no audio on the video, so you have to actually hold your hands up and point. So he's like, it's called the video point. He's like, just put your hands up and point at someone, even if it's your fault, try and deflect on someone else. I was like, flipping out. But yeah, I mean, you know, at the time it was, and when you do come off the back of that lashing, like you just think, oh, you can't wait for the next game. You're like, right, we need to put it right. But that week is just like, yeah, it's not nice, not a nice place to be in. And then obviously the pressure from the fans and everything. It's like, you know, you have to deal with that. And I think we responded well to it. And then yeah, getting them in Shrewsbury. I mean, in the final, it was weird. We didn't have to say it because we just, like, everyone knew.
Yeah. Like
going into it, we're like, yeah, we knew what happened, but we're fucking putting it right today, kind of thing. So it was just like that extra kind of.
Do you almost think that Stimo's team talk was done for him in that final? That
100%.
He could have easily put a poster up at a 7-0 and gone, right, go and revenge it.
Yeah, no, he really didn't have to. I don't even remember what the team talk was because I don't, like, we didn't even need one. You know, going into it, it was like you're playing for all the marbles. You're at Wembley to get promoted, and you're playing against a side. And it was crazy as we're driving into Wembley. All the Shrewsbury fans that you passing, they were giving it that kind of thing. So it was like, cannot wait to get out there, kind of thing.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. We can talk about standout moments throughout the year, but your one standout moment was under the arch, and it's actually, of the day of recording, it is 13 years to the day that you it is 13 years to the day that you put that ball in the back of the net. Which, I mean, it's fitting that we're doing the podcast this afternoon, really, isn't it? So yeah, Simeon, talk us through it. Yeah,
man. Just you mentioned it. Speaking of, I'm getting goosebumps again, to be honest. Just what a day, man. The build up. I mean, it's, people don't understand that even now with the playoffs and stuff, that 2-week gap almost between the last playoff game and then going to Wembley is like, it's a long time, man. Anything can happen. You're going into training, like, you're still trying to stay sharp and stay fit, but there's no games. And you're thinking, I don't want to get injured. There's so much that can happen in that time. But then to finally get there and then, you know, seeing the sea of Gills fans, man, it was crazy because we were like, we only had max, I think, 9,000 at Priestfield, I think we got was for the Villa game, maybe.
Yeah.
9, maybe 10. And then you turn up there and there's like 30 or 20 plus 30,000. You're just like, wow. Like, where'd everyone come from, kind of thing. But no, it was just amazing, man. Amazing. And just my family there, and my little daughter was there as well at times. She was young, and yeah, to score it in injury time, like the way it did. And I look back on it now, like I see clips of like me jumping over Grant Holt, who I ended up playing with. But like at the time, Holtley was like the biggest guy in the air, and I've somehow managed to get up there and redirect it. Like everything just worked out perfect. And even the guy on the line, like he could have cleared it off the line, but he mistimed his jump. Like there's just so many things that just went in that moment. But yeah, just
yeah, because you were the first person to wheel away. Did you know straight away that was in? Because obviously the rest of your teammates around you are still looking at the big screen. They're still.
No, I didn't know. I just remember before it went out for a corner. I just remember knowing that the ball was going to be good because I knew Joshua had put a peach in, and I just thought, right, just wherever it goes, go and head it. That's what I said to myself. So I just said, wherever it goes, just go and head it. And literally, I'm meant to be on the goalkeeper, and I literally just come off and just kind of just jump and do whatever that was. And yeah, because I think he did head it, or it came off his head, and then so I wasn't sure. So if you watch it again, you see me. I look to like the linesman, but I didn't even see the linesman. I just see kind of Diesel running off, and then I'm just like, right, it must be kind of thing. So I've just wheeled off, just thinking, yeah, it's happened. And yeah, just smiles, man. I think I have a picture of me running off and Diesel and Curtis behind, and I've got my feet are kind of like off the ground, sorry. And I was like, that just sums up the moment for me. It was just like, it just felt like you were flying, man. It was, yeah, amazing.
You had to be really patient in that game as well, didn't you? Because it's one of them where on another day we might have been outside by half time because we completely dominated the first half. Shrewsbury came into a little bit in the second half, but at the same time didn't really create anything. We had to wait a long time for that moment. Were you always confident it was going to arrive?
I was just confident in my team. Honestly, man, I was confident in my team and like just the boys, because the semi-finals, like I remember the first leg of the semis, like I didn't have a good game. I remember coming off there thinking, crap, that wasn't good. Didn't really get involved. Like it was just a weird game. And then before the second leg, I remember coming off the coach and all the boys were like, your day today. It's your day today. And I was like, it's just something that just does something to you. Just knowing that, you know, that you have that kind of backing from your teammates. And then Wembley was the same, you know, boys were like, yeah, like, you know, do it again. You'll do it again. And yeah, the game was, yeah, we dominated from the first whistle. And I remember thinking like, this isn't the same team we played early in the season. Like we were kind of, we were playing really well. I mean, yeah, for them, like they were night and day from the first game we played. The second, both games are different, but for us, we just played our game, and I just knew I'd get a chance. I didn't know when it was going to come, and you just, because of that environment and just being at Wembley, you just back yourself, man. You kind of just trying to be present, and as you say, even though it didn't come to that last kind of minute, you still just ready, just eager to get a chance. And even though I didn't expect it to be a corner or a header, to be honest. If you'd asked me how I was going to score at Wembley, I wouldn't have said that. So yeah, just
yeah, you can't. Yeah, obviously, yeah. It was a fantastic party back at the football club after, and obviously we had the parade then around Medway. Is there any stories that you can actually say on camera, Simeon?
No, I've got loads. Which one do you want? The funniest one is because I actually missed the parade, which I look back now, I'm like, crap, man, it sucked. But because I had to go away with Canada, which was my first kind of appearance for Canada was against Cyprus in Cyprus. So I flew out kind of like the next day, but then on the night. So apparently we were driving, because we had to drive obviously from Wembley back to Priestfield, and because that's where our cars were and stuff. And apparently Curtis Weston was speeding back, and he gets pulled over by the coppers, and he literally apparently he just said to the coppers, they're like, oh, what's your name? And he's like, oh, Simeon Jackson. And they're like, oh, did you you just were at Wembley? And he was like, yeah, sorry, like I just the emotion. And then they're like, oh yeah, kind of like let him off kind of thing. And I was like, you lucky bastard. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you ask the boys, there's probably dozens and dozens of stories that, you know, those moments when you get promoted, like, yeah, it's
that's awesome. That is brilliant. Obviously, yeah, we come back in the summer then. Spirits are high. Like, obviously, we've just been promoted at Wembley. Yeah. The fixtures have come out. We're then opening day, going to play our dear old rival Swindon Town at Priestfield. Did you know, Simeon, going into that fixture on the opening day, the history behind the fixture?
I had no clue. I had no clue about the meaning behind it. But then I learned pretty quickly. I think it was like just the week of, really, because we were kind of preparing, and then I don't know how I got into conversation. And then I kind of heard a bit. I think it was Malcolm, the kit man. I was kind of sharing about kind of how it stemmed and what have you. And then I just remember on the day, thinking, like it's a weird one, because you think, oh, like Swindon's all the way, where it is, like how. Yeah. But yeah, just the atmosphere on the day and seeing how our fans are up for it. It was like, and I was on just a double high from promotion and then being away with Canada and stuff, and I just came back and I was like, I just was really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and obviously that opening day, 5-0. At a hat trick. I mean, it couldn't have gone any better for you, could it?
No, that summer, man, was just like, purple patch was just brilliant. Starting off like that, and then wanting to carry that on for the rest of the season. Yeah,
and obviously the season ended up going the way we didn't want it to go. And we kind of just slid, didn't we? I spoke to Gary Richards last week about this, and he put it down to the fact that he never partnered up with Kingy, really, throughout the season. We never really got that spine of the team again. Mm-hmm. I don't think you played much at all with Dennis and Andy as the front three. It was just kind of all over the place, wasn't it? After we'd just been promoted. Put it down into your words, almost in your opinion, what went wrong that year?
Yeah, it was. It's hard, man. As you say, I think there's loads of. When you come off the back of that high and then going into the next season, you kind of expect it to kind of keep going. And then, you kind of come up with challenges, and, I think even, the likes of kind of Mark McCammon that came in, and, we're kind of looking at stuff and you're like, wow, like, I would have loved to kind of, I think he got injured in the pre-season. And then there was, just loads of things that just didn't happen. And then, you kind of go on that run and you realize you're in the thick of it. But even towards the end, we kind of still kind of, expected us to kind of find that magic, or, to kind of produce in those moments again, but it didn't. I remember kind of going into that Wickham game, and I missed a pen that game as well. And I'm thinking, like, crap, like it's just one to the next, like, just kind of a downhill spiral, and it was sad to see, really. And I was definitely disappointed, especially with the back end of that season and how it worked out.
I'd be interested to know more, especially because we've been relegated again this year. When you're a player in that situation, the final game of the season, things aren't going for you within the game, and you know what you've got to do. What's the mindset? Because obviously, from a fan's point of view, we're always expecting the players to keep going and give it all. But is there part of you when you're playing, you just think sometimes it just isn't going to be our day?
No, not as a player, man. You always kind of everything changes in football so quick. So you're always just being optimistic about what can happen and just staying positive and just saying, right, I'm going to go out and do what I need to do and keep fighting for the cause. And I think we had that, but there was so much kind of a few inner dynamics that was, kind of taking place, and it just, coming off of how it was the year before, we thought we'd kind of gotten past that, but there's still something that just wasn't right, and that's what happens. It comes out on the pitch in the end, and I think just the players that were involved with that, it does kind of, it stands out just like the complete opposite in terms of seasons. Kind of. Going from getting relegated, getting promoted, and then getting relegated again, you're like, you can't write it, man. Like,
and obviously that was the end of Stimo as Gills manager. You ended up playing for him in a total of 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Just sum up your time as under Mark Stimpson at the Gills. What was he like as a gaffer?
I loved him, man. I loved him. I still keep in touch with him. Spoke to him a little while ago, actually, a few months ago now. But yeah, I think what he did for me in terms of my career and giving me that confidence and, kind of bringing me to the club, giving me the opportunity to play at that level. I'm forever grateful for that and just wanted to make the best of it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think he was very around, kind of attacking and wanting to play a decent brand of football, which I think we did, and we had the players to do so. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that in League One and continue on his reign. But yeah, I think every kind of spell or team kind of has their kind of window, and I think ours was just that season and a half, and getting that success to try and focus on that. Even though there's 2 relegations in there, you still try and just focus on the positive. But yeah, I mean, I've not got a bad word to say about him.
You did manage to get the move at the end of it. Turned out to be actually quite a good deal for both parties, because obviously we brought in Cody McDonald, who scored a lot of goals for us the year after you left, and obviously it gave you the platform to go to Norwich. Yeah. You got another promotion there. I've noticed a very famous game with Norwich supporters, the 3-2 against Derby, where I think you scored a hat-trick in that game as well, didn't you? And then I just want to ask mainly, just because this is obviously a Gills podcast, we're not too familiar with everything that happened at Norwich, but coming from non-league, it must have been like a dream achieved to play in the Premier League. Like, must have been beyond expectation, surely. But what was that feeling like the first time you stepped out onto a Premier League pitch?
Yeah, no, it's just goosebumps again, man, when you think about it. Coming from non-league and then playing for, it's crazy. Like, for me, coming from Canada, playing for teams that I kind of knew about before I even got here, kind of thing. So, kind of playing for Gills as a schoolboy, and then coming back to playing the first team and having success in the first team, and for the club, and then kind of getting that move to Norwich. That was, I didn't. I can't say I didn't see it coming, because I knew there was interest and kind of had spoken to them and knew that it was potentially going to happen. But same sort of thing. It took a while to happen, and you're never actually sure. And when I spoke to the chairman, spoke to Scally a few times, and he was like, "Yeah, same sort of thing. Just making sure he gets the right deal, and it's nothing personal. He's happy for me to move on, but it needs to be the right deal." And you're just like, "Oh crap, we don't know." But to get the move and then go on and play in the Premier League and come out and play against the best players in the world, it all just, you feed back on your FA Cups against your Villas and playing in those games, and then you realize, like, no, I'm actually here. I can actually do this. It's just the best feeling in the world, man. Best feeling in the world.
Brilliant. Yeah, Simeon, you've been excellent this afternoon. We can't thank you enough. Just to wrap it up, obviously you're over at, or you are over at Chelmsford, still playing National League South football. So you're keeping kind of a close. You're not that far from Gills.
Not that far. I was in Maidstone the other day, and fair play to them for getting promoted. But it was nice to kind of come back down and just be in the area. And I was like, I know down here.
Yeah, they're obviously back in League Two, where obviously you got them out of. Neil Harris in charge now. Just give us your thoughts and feelings ahead of the new campaign under Neil Harris. Yeah.
I mean, if he's allowed to go and build a team that he wants to build, I'm sure he'll be able to bring success to the club. I know Chopper quite well, and he's a top guy. You see what he's done. The club he's been at so far and his experience. So, you'd like to think that it's in good hands, and I'm sure he'll be able to do well with the squad that he can build for next season. So I mean, I was speaking to Josh when I played Billericay the other day, and we were like, we didn't think it was going to happen, but sometimes that's football, and just hopefully the club can turn it around and kick on and get promoted again. That'd be great.
Yeah, brilliant.
This is the last one for me, just quickly. I've not actually asked anyone we've talked to from the promotion season about this yet, but you said everything went for you that game at Wembley.
Yeah.
It wasn't a corner, was it?
It weren't. This is the thing. You look back on it, it weren't, but we got it. And like everything just went in your favour. It's just, unbelievable.
Brilliant. And there we go. It wasn't a corner, but it doesn't matter because Simeon managed to score the goal. So anyway, what a brilliant way to round it off. You've been listening to the ME7 podcast with our promotion winner, Simeon Jackson.